Hi everyone, this is Julianne Victoria of Through the Peacock's Eyes. Welcome to my channel. So this is part 3 of my deck tour, I guess, sub-series of Halloween, Samhain, and autumn season tarot and oracle card decks. So in this video I'm going to talk about dark decks, so decks that connect us to the darkness, not so much like as in, evil or scary Halloween like, but to that dark space, that quiet space within us, within the all. And also decks that help us connect to, I want to say get comfortable with the liminal space, that threshold between the realm of material and the realm of spirit, that threshold where deep transformation occurs, that threshold where rebirth happens, that it's like being in the veil, a little bit in one realm and a little bit in the other. Okay, let's start with a couple of the dark decks. The first one is the Darkness of Light Tarot. This is what the backs look like. So it's two, I don't know if you can see that, two wolf heads. And I'll show you some of the cards. So this deck just came in the box. I was going to say it came as is, and I actually bought an as is version. So if you go to the Darkness of Light website, they have the normal price, but then they also have as is decks. So decks that may have, a bend or a chip, so there might be something not perfect about it. The interesting thing though is this deck to me seems perfect. There's no marks, there's no bends, there's no nothing. So maybe I got lucky with an as is deck. But it came as is, as in there is no little white book, it's just the cards. So the major arcana are written in Italian. The minors are not. Swords are blades in this deck. Pentacles are coins. I think wands are wands. Cups are cups. And I believe the wands are wands. Let me double check. Coins. The wands have disappeared. We'll come upon some, as I'll show you. Okay, so here we have Il Carro, which is the chariot. So there is sort of a dark, shadowy hue to the coloring. Each of the suits has a different theme color, which I like, but it's still muted. So here we have Ace of Cups, and all the cups have what look like rose petals coming out of them. Six of Blades, so the swords. The Knight of Wands, yes it is wands. The Hierophant. The High Priestess. So sort of a darker themed deck, if you want to call it that, but it's the Darkness of Light, so it's not like gory, scary, creepy Halloween-like dark deck. It's just subdued. To me, it's very calming. It gets you, so the dark space is a very quiet space. It's a very meditative, contemplative space. Here we have the Ten of Blades, the Four of Wands, so wands have little splashes of pink, but it's very subtle. It's probably even more subtle on camera. Here we have the Knight of Cups, and he has the cup with the rose petals coming out of it. Page of Wands. Three of Coins. Okay, so you get an idea of that deck. And the Sun, it has a dog, which I actually love. Okay, so that's the Darkness of Light Tarot. Now the other two decks I've shown before in other videos, but I want to include them here. I have the Dark Days Tarot, and this is a square deck. It comes with a square book, and of course descriptions of the cards. You can read these cards because they are square shaped, upright, reversed, left and right turned. So I'll show you this page so you can kind of see what I mean. Now the majors in this deck are white. It's a black and white deck, and the minors are black. And I've heard that they're going to be coming out with a reverse where the majors are black and the minors are white. So I need to research that more, but I heard a rumor out there. A little birdie told me. So here we have the moon, the Eight of Wands. So it's called the Dark Days Tarot because of the dark days of the dark moon, which is the new moon. The Four of Wands, the Queen of Cups, the Page of Swords. So you can see there's a lot of moon imagery in the cards. Six of Swords. But I love this deck for this time of year because, well, at least in the Northern Hemisphere, the days are getting shorter, so there's more darkness at night as well. Five of Cups. The Nine of Swords. The Devil. And the Empress. So it is also a very feminine deck because of all the moon imagery. And this deck has silver gilding on the sides. It's the only deck I have that has silver gilding. Okay, so that's the Dark Days Tarot. And then I also have, and I've shown this one before too, Flowers of the Night Oracle. So it's flowers that bloom at night. So it is kind of, I do think of Halloween, Samhain, and this time of year with this deck. The backs have the moon and the stars. And I'll show you a few. Oh, the book that comes with it. The book is the same size as the cards, which is larger than normal tarot size cards. So the book has a little almost biographical / biological information of the flowers. And then she talks a little bit about what the card means, an affirmation and keywords. You can see that there. And I'll show you some of the cards here. So here we have Celebration, which is the Casablanca lily. So the flower name is underneath the name of the keyword for the card. These are very shiny. Motivation, it's the flower that's called 4 o'clock. Focus is tuberose. And there's an owl here. So sometimes there's some of the creatures that come out at night in the cards. Compassion is port wine magnolia. And we have some, they look like moths, I think. Freedom, Chilean jasmine. And there's a sloth. And visualization, petunia. Okay, so you get an idea of those. So another deck with these longer nights, more dark hours, just the feeling that comes with autumn. I like to pull that deck out this time of year. Okay, there's 3 more decks I want to show here. And the next 3, I pulled them out because I do feel like they help me at least get into that liminal space. Or I also want to say understand and get comfortable with the liminal space. Okay, so first let's start with Dreams of Gaia, and I've shown this before. And this one, you know, it's very colorful. It's very beautiful. The major arcana has been completely redone. As you can see, there's a full-size book. There are extra cards, so there's 81 cards, so there's 3 extra major arcana. The pages and knights have been redone, so what would have been the pages are polarities, like masculine and feminine, and the knights are a different type of archetypal character. So I'll link on screen at the end of this video the review video I did of like 5 unusual and unique tarot decks. I'll link that on screen so you can find it, where I talk a little bit more about that. But But let me just show you the back here of the Dreams of Gaia. Another shiny deck. It is gold gilded. So here we have the number 6 major arcana. Again, the major arcana have been redone, and there's 3 extra cards. So in this deck, it's called the Crone. Here we have the number 11 of air. And so that would normally, in a normal deck, would be like the Page of Swords. But in this deck, with its redesign, it's called Body Mind. So that's the polarity. The number 9 major arcana is called Knowledge. So it's almost its own system, and I've said this before, where you could take all the majors out and use them as its own little oracle deck, because it is so unique and so different. But I find this deck very powerful. It really opens up windows to that liminal space, and you can even say that in a sense that's tapping into shadow work, understanding the light and shadow within you, understanding the polarities within yourself, understanding transformational processes that are going on within. So here we have number 8 major arcana, Death, Rebirth. Number 16, Destiny. So as you can see, bright colors. Number 13, Union. Bright, beautiful colors. I'll just show a few more. But a really deep deck, a very powerful deck. Okay. Next, so 2 more here. Next one I want to talk about is the Anima Mundi Tarot. Anima Mundi is the soul of the world. Anima means soul, and Mundi is of the world. So often it's just said the world soul. And that's a very Jungian concept. So Anima Mundi Tarot. This deck came with, it's a little white book, but it has a black cover. So it's just a very basic little white book here. This deck is gold gilded as well. One little disappointing thing, when I got this deck and I opened it up, a bunch of gold glitter came out. So the gilding on this deck is flaking off very quickly. So I don't know if that has to do with the type of ink, gilded ink they use, but that is one thing. It's not too bad, but you can kind of see, and it's not like I've had this for years. I got it this year. You can kind of see where my fingers have rubbed the gilding off. And the box, I don't know if you'll be able to see it, it's full of little, well, you can't see it, bits of glitter. But when I first got it opened up, like glitter, the gilding came like flakes everywhere. So one thing, oh, and one other thing, how well you can see that, is right on the corner here. The coloring on the back is coming off already too. So one thing, if the makers are watching this, probably not, but something to do with the ink, or the ink on the type of cardstock, like it's coming off quickly. And this is not a super worn deck. I only got it this year. Okay, but let's look at the back. So we have the triple goddess symbol. So again, connecting to the moon, the darkness, the night. I want to say twilight, the liminal space. And I'll show you some of the cards here. Here we have the Magician. So this is very much an animal deck. Here we have the 5 of Swords. There's no animal, but the feathers are on the ground. Here we have the Tower. I'll say an animal and nature deck, because of course now there's no animal. The Tower is a volcano. Let's see, it shows some. We have Death. I love this card. The 3 of Pentacles. The 8 of Cups. So even though there's, an animal or image, it is very much like a pip deck. So it's kind of a half pip, half Rider-Waite deck. Here we have the Star, the 6 of Wands, the King of Swords, the Nine of Pentacles, Three of Swords, Six of Swords, and I love this card, the Empress. So very simple imagery, yet very profound. Like, to me, it's like when I pull these cards up, I go into those dark backgrounds. It pulls me right in, and it gets me into connecting beyond the veil, basically. You know, of course, the experience is going to be different for everyone, but that's just my experience. Here we have the Hermit. I love this Hermit, a giant squid. I'm always pulled into the background. And it's almost like the animals, you know, are like messenger spirits in these cards. It's very powerful for me. So for me, it's very much a deck of this time of year as the days get darker. And I do love the triple moon. Oops, the triple goddess there. Okay. And last but not least, by far not least, the Mary L Tarot. Now this is, to me, this deck has blown me away. It's quite powerful in its imagery. The book, as you see, it's a big book. It almost needs to be used with the cards. Is it Mary White? Yeah, Marie White really incorporates a lot of different mythologies in the cards. It's a beautiful and profound take on the tarot, incorporating all of that with powerful artwork. Of course, again, this is just my opinion. Now, the deck itself is monstrously sized. It's one of the largest tarot decks I have. I might consider trimming it. I've never trimmed a deck. I might get a second copy of this so I can like preserve a normal one and then have a trimmed one that's more easier to use, because it's really difficult for me to shuffle this. This is the back, the double Ouroboros. And I'll show you some of the cards. Oh, and a warning, there's a lot of full nudity in this deck. So if you don't like that in cards, this is not a deck for you. Okay. I'll just see what comes up. Here we have the Two of Cups, the two horses, the Nine of Swords, the Knight of Swords, the Three of Cups, the Eight of Cups, the Page of Swords. So warning, nudity if you don't want to see it. I love this card, the Magician, the Seven of Swords, the Ace of Discs, the Eight of Discs, Three of Discs, a lot of discs here. Let me move ahead. 10 of Cups. And we'll leave with two. The High Priestess. And this is a beautiful card. This is Death, and it's a crone. Okay. So that gives you an idea of the Mary L Tarot. Yeah, so it's hard to convey how profound working with certain decks can be through a video. I mean, you'd have to have the experience yourself. But those are my decks that I consider or help me easily connect with the darkness, which you can see is feminine energy, moon energy, goddess energy, that which is not on our superficial physical lives, that which is deep within, our shadows, and the liminal space, the veil, the spirit realm beyond, but connecting to that threshold space where you can have one foot in one realm and one in the other. Okay, I hope you enjoyed this video. Hopefully I wasn't rambling too much. I felt like I was rambling on this one. Thank you for liking, sharing, and subscribing, and I'll see you back here soon.